Delta Airlines buying an oil refinery to make its own fuel. Now, this is in response to the rising cost of jet fuel. The company hopes it will save $300 million. It is the first time an airline has done this. Time to bring in our panel. Carol Roth is a best-selling author and business expert in Chicago. Grant Cardone is the author of Sell or Be Sold in Los Angeles. And Yu-Dee Chang is the chief trader and sole principal at Ace Investment Strategists in D.C. Carol, let's start with you. What do you think of this?
I think, Jerry, there's sometimes a disconnect between financials and operations. This is something that theoretically looks good on paper. It's got less than a one-year payback. When you look at it operationally, though, does this really make sense? I don't think that airlines do a really good job of running airlines. Can they really run a refinery? I think it's going to be a distraction for them. And I think in terms of the cost, the crude oil is really the issue here. It's not the refining of it. They're spending $10 billion to $12 billion on fuel costs. I'm not sure this is really addressing that. So if I had a crystal ball, I think you look out a few years, they're going to be getting out of this business. That would be my prediction.
Well, fascinating point. And of course, they picked it up on the cheap because the plant was actually closed. Grant, what do you say?
Hey, Jerry, I think, $12 billion is what the Delta spends a year on fuel costs. If they can figure out a way to reduce their costs, great. I'm agree with Carol here. I don't know what they're doing in this refinery business, but I'm a big fan of Delta right now because I'm the guy that came off that flight 1063 that was struck by birds, and it safely landed. So I'm grateful to Delta that they got me back on the ground with my wife and my kids. They can do no wrong in my eyes right now.
Grant's got a buy signal on Delta. Yu-Dee, what do you say?
Well, I think I'm the loner on this one. I actually think it's a pretty innovative thinking on their part. Basically, fuel cost is what? Like you're saying, about 30-40% of the operating cost. So buying a refinery on the cheap, getting a $30 million subsidy from the state of Pennsylvania,
right,
and be able to be self-sufficient for 80% of jet fuel so-called needs, I think is a very smart thing. I think the problem for them is not going to be running a refinery. The problem for them is going to be how do they cost effectively get the crude oil to the refineries. I think and start building the pipeline.
Fascinating stuff. Good conversation. Okay, one of the highest ranking officials in the U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement Agency, that's ICE, has pleaded guilty to scamming the federal government out of $500,000. Over 3 years, James Woolsey and at least 5 other ICE employees fabricated expenses for trips that were never taken. Is there no end to this, Grant?
No end to it. And this is why all Americans should band together, regardless of what class you come from or your socioeconomics, and stop sending money to the government. Every dime you send to them, for every tax increase, somebody that steals money. No, I'm saying don't allow any more tax increases on the American public because these people just steal money.
Carol.
I think the worst part of this is this is actually this trickery that required a lot of clever thinking. And if you have somebody who is that clever to figure out how to do this kickback scheme, why aren't they taking that same clever thinking and applying it to something that's going to help the American public? And I'm going to agree with Grant. I think this is another neon sign that says the government is getting too big and out of control. Pretty soon it's going to turn into a robot from the Terminator, Jerry.
Yu-Dee, you're going to make it a trifecta here? Government out of control?
No. Actually, they are being creative. I'm sure they're trying to beef up their resumes to apply for the job openings at GSA. Jerry, you think about it, it's pretty sad. I think an organization, people say, is really a reflection of its leaders, right? So you're talking about the DOE, we're talking about the GSA, the Secret Service, now ICE. It's just a shame. I mean, basically, this is how your leader is running the country. So basically, it's a scandal a day. That's Obama's way. So just remember that. So come in November.
A scandal a day. That's Obama's way. I think we all like that. Okay. There's an app for everything, as you know, even one to tell you how ugly you are. This was created by 2 fellas in Arizona. The Ugly Meter app takes your picture and rates you on a scale of 1 to 100. Carol, why am I not surprised that 2 guys did this?
Two guys who probably live in their parents' basement, Jerry, because only tech nerds would need an app to figure out if you're good looking. Just go outside, walk down the street of New York, or go to a bar, and people will tell you. And I've got to think anyone who's using this is a reflection of the unemployment rate and having way too much free time on your hand. If you're over 14 and using this app, I am going to send you the What's My IQ app. I think that information is going to be much more important to you.
Love it. Yu-Dee, what do you say?
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me try to delete that from my iPhone. Actually, you know what? I found it really interesting. Why do you need an app to tell you something that a mirror tells you every single day? You know, for I don't know, for 49 cents, I'll tell you how you look. For 99 cents, I'll tell you how beautiful you are. And for $9.99, I'll call you every day and tell you every day that you're the most beautiful person on earth.
Grant, what do you say?
Yeah, you know, hey, look, these guys are brilliant. $5 app. People are downloading it every day. They're going to make money on it. Good for them. But if you're going to take the time, if you're so uncertain in your own thinking that you need an app to tell you what's pretty and what's not, look, it's all in the eyes of the beholder anyway. Jerry, I don't need to know. I don't need an app to know that you're a 10.
Ah, now you're getting on my good side. And I thought maybe I'd pay Yu-Dee $10 a month just to have him call me every day. All right, guys. Carol, Grant, and Yu-Dee, great job, guys. Very good conversation. Thank you so much. All right, coming up next, small business lending.